Hagerty Classic Car TV.
Welcome to this week's episode of Hagerty Classic Car TV. This week we're coming to you from the Hagerty offices where there is a wooden boat display, all handcrafted by Frank Hagerty himself. Pretty cool. Let's check the news and then we'll check out the boats.
It's time for news.
Bonhams has announced it will host its first ever auction in Scottsdale, Arizona on January 19th, 2012. And they've already got a few lots confirmed, including Marlene Dietrich's 1929 Rolls-Royce Phantom 1 transformable convertible sedan. This year at Hershey, RM Auctions will offer one of the first horseless carriages, the 1884 Deux Dion Bouton et Trépardou Dos à Dos steam runabout. According to Autoweek.com, the car is expected to bring between $2 and $2.5 million. The 127-year-old runabout, named La Marquise after Deux Dion's mother, is certified as the oldest running car in the world. One of Willie Nelson's tour buses will be offered at Classic Car Auction of Toronto on October 22nd. The 1986 Eagle Model 10 motor coach sleeps 6 and includes 2 lounge areas and hand-painted murals by the artist Rainmaker. For the last year, we've all been riding along with Jonathan Klinger and his Mighty Model A on the blog 365 Days of A. This week's ride-along, we're going to look back at that year and say goodbye to Jonathan forever.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Klinger, and I'm driving through the mountains of Pennsylvania, and this is on the final journey after spending a year in the Mighty Model A. Right about a year, exactly a year ago is when this all started, so it was, about the middle of fall. The weather was still decent. It had cool nights, but it was still, pleasantly warm during the day. I hadn't experienced what it was like to drive this thing in the bitter cold, and it was the absolute novelty of it. I was excited that this dream of wanting to spend a year in an old car had come true, and I was just soaking up every minute of it, driving it anywhere I possibly could, for 2 reasons. One, it was fun, I wanted to, and the other reason being is I wanted to basically work as many bugs as I possibly could out of the car and out of me before winter hit. We kind of needed to get used to each other. So then winter comes. I remember the first snowfall, the first measurable snowfall, and I was very excited. I'm a person, I've always liked winter. I like snow. There's just something about that feeling of a fresh snowfall that, that same excitement you get about it when you're a little kid. I never really kind of outgrew that. I've just always liked winter. And so I couldn't wait to get out and see how this thing was going to react. And I was driving to work for the first time in the snow in this vehicle, and I was going very slow, being very, very cautious, just kind of trying to get the feel of how the car was going to handle, how it stopped, did it slide around, what was the traction like. And I guess I was maybe expecting the worst, and so I ended up being very pleasantly surprised how well it did handle the snow. But also what was interesting, on my way to work that first snowfall, I passed 3 cars that had slid off the road into the ditch. Now these were modern vehicles, 2 of them being all-wheel drive. They probably had snow tires on them. Didn't matter. Cars that should have been far more capable by any stretch of the imagination, far more capable than this car when it came to slippery conditions. But kind of the takeaway to that is not necessarily that the Model A was a better handling automobile in the snow. It was just the fact that I was being cautious and going slow, and so I was not out driving the reasonable capabilities of the car. Whereas, there's this mindset with a lot of people that if you're in an all-wheel drive automobile with snow tires, you think that you don't have to adjust your driving pattern when there's snow on the ground. And at the end of the day, ice is ice, and you will go in the ditch, no matter what you're driving. And that was something I kept in mind all winter long, is just staying within the reasonable capabilities of this car and not to overdrive that. And I never had a single issue in the snow, no matter how much snow we had. Here we are cruising Lakeshore Drive right next to downtown Chicago on Sunday night. So far the trip's gone great. The weather is actually pleasantly warm, and the car's doing great. Well, when spring came, it was a feeling of, my gosh, we made it. And when I say we, both the car and myself, we made it through winter. The car doesn't have any scars because of it. There was never a time that it wouldn't start because of the cold. And it was just, it was a lot of fun. And so yeah, it was kind of that, my gosh, we've done it, because there was a lot of people that really doubted our ability to make it through the winter safely. Actually, there was this running joke at the office of, well, Klinger's going to be late every day to work because of the Model A. And I think it was because of that, it somewhat challenged me that I told myself in the beginning of this that I was never going to miss something or be late as a result of this car. And I guess I can look back now and successfully say that happened. I mean, there wasn't a single time I never missed a flight, when I went on a business trip. I can't think of a time that I was even late to work because of the car. But, moving into summer was fun from the standpoint of, doing some great trips, and, everything's nice and green. And of course, where we live, all the different bodies of water, they're very scenic, and, so it kind of forced me to take some fun drives in this, which I really enjoyed. I decided I wanted to name the car because I'm convinced that most cars develop a personality of their own. Some may think I'm crazy to say that, but others would agree. And the name Sophie basically stemmed from an inside joke that if you type out the 365 days of A URL, it looks like 365 day sofa, like the couch, the daybed. So Sophie was just kind of a play off that. But while that name kind of sort of has stuck, what's really stuck that just kind of came out naturally in a short amount of time was I much more affectionately refer to this car as the Mighty Model A. And I think that's, it's mighty in spirit and, mighty in ability. And it works.
That's it for this week's episode of Hagerty Classic Car TV. Until next week, happy sailing.